Boston, and I'm going to recite Paul Revere's Ride by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Listen, my children, and you shall hear of the midnight ride of Paul Revere. On the 18th of April in 75, hardly a man is now alive who remembers that famous day near. He said to his friend, "If the British march by land or sea from the town tonight, hang a lantern aloft in the belfry arch of the Old North Church as a signal. One is by land and two by sea, and I on the opposite shore will be, ready to ride and spread the alarm through every Middlesex village and farm, for the country folk to be up and armed." Then he said, "Good night," with muffled oar silently rowed to the Charlestown shore. Just as the moon rose over the bay, where swinging wide her moorings lay, the Somerset British man of war, a phantom ship with each mast and spar, crossed the moon like a prison bar, and a huge black hulk that was magnified by its own reflection in the tide. Meanwhile, his friend, through alley and street, wanders and watches with eager ears, till in silence around him he hears the muster of men at barrack door, the sound of arms, the tramp of feet, and the measured tread of the grenadiers marching down to their boats on the shore. They climbed to the tower of the church, up the one stairs with stealthy tread, to the belfry chamber overhead, and startled the pigeons from the perch on the somber rafters that round him made masses and moving shapes of state. Up the trembling ladder, steep and tall, to the highest window in the wall, where he paused to listen and look down. A moment on the roofs of town, and the moon flew over all. Beneath in the churchyard lay the dead, in their night encampment on the hill, wrapped in silence so deep and still that he could hear like a sentinel's tread the watchful night wind as it went, creeping along from tent to tent, and seemed to whisper, "All is well." A moment only he feels the spell of the place and the hour and the secret dread of the lonely belfry and the dead, for suddenly all his thoughts are bent, and a shadowy something far away, where the river widens to meet the bay, a line of black that bends and floats on the rising tide like a bridge of boats. Meanwhile, impatient to mountain ride, booted and spurred with a heavy stride, on the opposite shore walked Paul Revere. Now he patted his horse aside, though he gazed at the landscape far and near. The impetuous stamped the earth and turned and tightened his saddle girth. But mostly he watched with eager search the belfry tower of the Old North Church as it rose above the graves on the hill, lonely, spectral, somber, and still. And lo, as he looks, on the belfry's height, a glimmer and then a gleam of light. He springs to the saddle, the bridle he turns, but lingers and gazes, the fullest sight, a second lamp in the belfry burns. A hurry of hoofs in the village street, a shape in the moonlight, a bulk in the dark, and beneath from the pebbles, a passing spark, stuck out by a steed flying fearless and free. That was all. And yet, through the gloom and the light, the fate of the nation was riding that night. And the spark stuck out by that seamless flight kindled the land to flame by its heat. It was 12 by the village clock when he crossed the bridge into Medford town. He heard the crowing of the cock and the barking of the farmer's dog. He felt the damp of the river fog that rises after the sun goes down. It was 1 by the village clock when he galloped into Lexington. He saw the gilded weathercock swim in the moonlight as he passed, and the mean house windows, blank and bare, stared at him with a spectral glare, as if they already stood aghast at the bloody work they would look upon. It was 2 by the village clock when he came to the bridge in Concord town. He heard the bleating of the flock and the twirr of the birds among the trees. He felt the breath of the morning breeze blowing over the meadows brown. And one was safe and asleep in his bed, who at the bridge would be first to fall, who that day would be lying dead, pierced by a British musket ball. You know the rest in the books you've read, how the British regulars fired and fled, how the farmers gave them ball for ball from behind each fence and farmyard wall, chasing the redcoats down the lane, and crossing the fields to emerge under the trees at the turn of the road, and only pausing to fire and load. So through the night rode Paul Revere, and so through the night went his cry of alarm, to every Middlesex village and farm, a cry of defiance and not of fear, a voice in the darkness, a knock at the door, and a word that shall echo forevermore. For born on the night wind of the past, through all our history to the last, in that hour of darkness and peril and need, the people shall waken and listen to hear the hurrying hoofbeats of that steed, and the midnight message of Paul Revere.